let me go ahead and progress the slide here. So what I'd like to do is spend a few minutes up front kind of talking about, really Microsoft and the CRM kind of relationship. What has Office become? How is that integrated with CRM? What are some of the advantages that we can get from combining the two systems? And then we'll dive into, the CRM system itself and talk about the kind of reports that are available. And there's really two different types. There's the, kind of system-generated, out-of-the-box canned SRS reports. And we've got a couple of examples where I can show you how to access those and what we can do with them. And then we're going to spend majority of our time in the advanced find feature, which is really the CRM self-service reporting solution that 95% of our clients use to get access to information so they have better visibility into what's going on. We're going to go through an example of actually creating an advanced find. We'll talk about what we can do when we create it, examples of opening it up in Excel or looking at it in Excel online. And then we'll talk about how we can embed those into dashboards. And then finally, we're going to talk about some very new functionality that just recently became available where we can actually enable Power BI reports or tiles to be exposed inside of the CRM environment. And we'll walk through a pretty detailed exercise of how to make those available, as well as how to hook up your CRM online environment to the Power BI reporting portal and to bring all that information together. So we'll connect the two. And at the very end, I'm very pleased to have John Kleb on the line with us today. He's going to spend some time talking about extending Power BI. So we've taken the CRM information, we've gotten the reports that we need from a sales, marketing, and service perspective, but how do we take that data and extend it with ERP information, or maybe there's some other data applications that you use today where you'd like to get greater visibility into information, and how do we bring that all together? So Power BI is a great example of how we can make all of that happen. So what's really going on in the Microsoft landscape is you're going to start hearing words that CRM is now part of Microsoft's Dynamics 365. And really what it is, it's a combination of all of the most critical, highly used applications that Microsoft has to offer, and it's all going to be brought together inside of the Office 365 environment. So for example, if you are currently using Office 365 today, you can simply add CRM to your subscription, or you can add Skype to your subscription, or SharePoint. The concept there is that you'll be able to add bits and pieces of the products to bring them all together to give you a more, kind of fully designed and integrated solution to run your business. So for example, with inside of CRM, we have the ability, as most of you know, to have Outlook fully capable. But we've just recently now been able to embed Power BI forms, and I'm going to use some of those pre-built templates today from sales and service to kind of show you how that all is brought together. Obviously, Microsoft Exchange is all part of the overall environment. Office 365, how we can manage Office groups, which is another great component of the CRM solution. Whoops, and go ahead to next. And then finally, OneNote, which is probably the most, kind of popular rich format notebook that your sales team is probably currently using. We've got clients that have converted from Evernote to OneNote, and now having the ability to just bring that into CRM to give the meeting notes that you've just taken full visibility of the organization is very powerful. Yammer is a tool that will allow you to kind of collaborate. Obviously, SharePoint becomes the document management system, and then Skype allows you to manage presence, interact with prospects and team members, and have those voice calls and phone calls. And then lastly, the Excel component, and obviously Word, but Excel more importantly, because now we have the ability to, within CRM, create that link where I can open up opportunity report and view that information inside Excel Online, make changes and edits, and then re-bring that information back in at the click of a button. So the concept here you can see is that Microsoft is really bringing all of this technology together. And in doing so, they're trying to make it as seamless as possible for the end user. So that way they have the ability to stay inside the tool that they're familiar with and to continue operating and get access to information that's critical to them. So let's go ahead now and kind of start with our reporting options. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over now to my CRM system. And what we're going to do now is we're going to look at really the SRS reports, the canned reports that come with the system. So the most popular reports that we get asked for are dashboard reports. So if I'm on the sales module and I click on the report tool section, this lists all the available reports that are inside of the system. The sales pipeline report is probably one of the most important reports that our clients ask for. It's typically a report that they ask us to configure slightly different. You might have some rolled up calculations that you'd like to incorporate into that. Now, these types of reports are used and built through SQL reporting services. So this is an example of one of the kind of starting points that most of our clients can work with. If you have a SQL reporting team or a SQL team internally, they're probably very familiar with this tool. It's probably something within their skill set that they could help edit some of these canned reports to give you the information that you're looking for. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly run the canned report, and it's going to go out and it's going to grab data from the CRM system and just kind of give me this really global filtered view of really where are we within the sales process. And I can drill into the chart, and once I'm drilled into the chart, I can now start looking at all the transactional information. Right? So this is just a very quick, clean report that allows me to get at the opportunity, understand where it is in the sales stage, get an understanding of the potential revenue, and when the potential close date is. Now these reports also have the ability to, you can schedule these reports, you can export it to Excel, you can export it to a comma delimited file or Word document, whichever you choose. So the concept here is being able to pre-build out a report that your users are going to run often and allow them the ability to access it through the reporting tool or the reporting library inside of CRM. And as you can see right now, there's probably about 25 kind of available reports that are inside of CRM, and I can change the view to look at, if I want to look at just some of the administrative reports that exist, you can do that as well. So user summary is another great example of reports that our clients typically ask for. Another key area where reports exist is in sales opportunities. So I'm going to go into the Northwind Traders account, and inside the North Traders account, I have pre-built already an opportunity for some computing components that this particular client is looking for. And I drill into the opportunity, and inside the opportunity, I notice if I scroll down, I've got some products that we've added to this particular quote or this particular opportunity, and I've created a quote as well. Now, one of the things that we hear often is, I just need to get a very simple quote over to my customer. I don't need to jump through hoops. I just want to have the ability to get something put together. So as I'm building out the opportunity and I'm assigning products to this particular quote and I create the quote, I can then drill in to create some reports that I can in turn share with my customers. So if I click on the More Features here and click on this Run Report tab, it's going to allow me to run a quick quote that's based on this current record. So by doing this, again, I'm going to be presented with another SQL report that could be configured to fit your organization's need. You might want to have your company logo on there, maybe some terms and conditions or some very basic features. But again, this generates a quote for me that I can export to Word, export to Excel. I can even filter off of different criteria. Maybe I want to show the discount now in this particular report. Just click on refresh, and if there's a discount that was associated, it would now show up as a line item on this report. So the concept here again is using the report features inside of CRM to generate very quick, clean, crisp reports that I can go ahead and email out to my end user. So again, this is just an example of reporting where we've got clients that are using this as a feature. And the other area where clients are getting information is they're using the Word templates. So here's another great way for you to use Word templates, which I'm sure most of you are using today to generate proposals. You could create a proposal format inside of CRM and use the merging feature inside of Word to grab information and be able to create a completely formatted proposal that fits your needs. And in order to do so, it's very simple. You just go ahead and click on Word template and create that template that you would like to use moving forward. And this uses that, as I mentioned, the merging features within inside of the Microsoft Word application. So the next area where I really want to spend the majority of my time on inside of the reporting features is that concept of self-service reporting. I'm going to go back to my home screen, and I'm going to spend a few moments really kind of talking about the dashboards that exist here today. And then we're going to talk about the advanced find tools that come with CRM and how we can incorporate those into new dashboards that either I can share with other users or I can use myself. Now, the key with dashboards is this, is that you're looking at the same information. You might create different views. You might have different dashboards that you like to look at. Each user might have something completely different because I know that things are, they might have different roles or they might want to look at their information differently. So, for example, we have an inside salesperson within our organization that wants to just look at what are my open calls, what are the open opportunities, what are the leads that I need to follow up on. So he prefers to see things in a list view that he can interact with. And he can click on that and start following up on Alex and making a phone call with Alex. We have other users that like to look at the charts and graphs, they like color, they like pictures, so they want to be able to interact with that information. So I take this canned dashboard and I open up this view to access additional information. You can see quickly that I've got a list of all the open opportunities inside of CRM. And it's segregated now by pipeline status. So what stage are we within the pipeline? And if I want to focus in, if I'm a sales manager and I know that we've got a pretty hefty number and we've got deals that we need to close, I can just click on the blue section of the pipeline report, which will give me just the opportunities that are in our closed sales process, and I can start drilling into these opportunities to find out exactly where we are and what's going on with them. So the concept here is I can create these views, and then I can start analyzing information, and then I can get to transactional level detail inside of CRM. Now, more importantly, what we can do, and I alluded to this a little bit earlier, is that typically these pipeline views are areas where people want to be able to quickly edit information. Maybe I'm about to walk into a sales pipeline meeting, and I need to update some close dates and update some values inside the system. And you can do that simply from inside this particular view here. If I click on the export to Excel, we've got a couple of different options that are available. Now, the first is the opening up in Excel Online, and that'll let me to really edit this right here. I also have the ability to create a static worksheet, which will just give me the items in this particular screen, but I can also do it basically off of the only the view. And then I also have the ability to create a dynamic worksheet. Now, what a dynamic worksheet will allow the end user to do is it creates a link to the data source inside of Excel. And if you are a heavy pivot table user and you want to slice and dice information and look at it in a different fashion, you can export the view here to a pivot table. And once you've created that pivot table and you want to look at it 2 or 3 days from now, you don't want to have to re-export it. You can actually just refresh from the original data source to analyze that information or analyze new information. So in this example, I'm just going to go ahead and click on Open Up in Excel Online. And again, this is going to show you how tightly integrated the Microsoft ecosystem is becoming. This is a great example of an Office 365 integration that allows me to look at this information. I can make changes to it as I need to. I can start typing over it. Maybe I want to change, the actual physical close date. We know this one's happening now in 2017. Maybe we want to change the estimated revenue on this particular deal to $10,000. So I can start editing information very, very quickly in this view. Now, once I've edited it, I have the ability to save these changes back to CRM. So those 2 fields that I changed on the fly in this list type view in Excel Online, it'll allow me to re-import that information into CRM and update that view or report. So if I go ahead and do that, it actually does it through an integration. So it's going to import this information. It's not going to happen instantaneously. It's going to schedule it for import. And then once the import is physically run, those fields will change. And it also has complete audit trail history attached to it, so it knows that I, as an end user, made changes to those particular records inside this view. Now, moving along, I want to spend, like I mentioned, the bulk of our time inside the advanced find feature. So a couple of things I wanted to really kind of bring out, and this is something that a lot of users don't realize, that if I'm in this particular list view looking at all the opportunities inside the system, and I want to now just look at the closed opportunities that are in this list view, and I decide to now use advanced find, so maybe I like some of the components are here, if I click on the advanced find, it's going to pre-populate inside the tool where I am on the particular view. So it's going to say Joel's already in the opportunity section. He wants to show where it's won or lost are the statuses. So he gives them an idea of really kind of where we are from a deal perspective. So the concept here is, you know, I don't have to really drill into the application too far in order to really start getting at meaningful information. So what I mean by that is I don't have to start at the menu level to click on advanced find to create a view. Wherever you are in the system and whatever you're looking at, if you click on the advanced find, it's going to already pre-populate that information for you and allow you to start interacting with that data. So one of the examples that our clients ask for us to create for them all the time is they want to just look at an activity report. What are my reps doing? Where are they spending their time? So just a quick view of that, and they'd like to see that on a dashboard. So really, you know, where are they spending their time? What are they doing? So I'm going to just quickly go, because I know now that if I start off on the activities entity, it's going to show me all of my activities, but now I want to look at all of the activities that exist. You know, I've got this great view that will allow me to, you know, kind of look at all of that information. But now I know I want to do something different with it. So this is showing me all the activities. It's showing me, you know, based off the status. It's showing me, you know, different information. I can go ahead and click on the filter. This will allow me to filter out information if I wanted to. You know, maybe I only want to look at, you know, emails and phone calls. So now it's going to segregate that list view and only show me those pieces of information. But I know, in my example, they want to look at actually completed, not open, not scheduled. They just want to know what they've done in the last month or the last several weeks. So I'm going to start with this particular view, and I'm going to go and build myself an advanced find that we're going to now in turn put on a dashboard when we're done. So I've selected the advanced find tool. You know, regular activities, yes. Now I want to go ahead and I want to add some more details. I want to say that the activity status in this particular example equals, open it up, and we're just going to say completed. So this is just going to show me all of our completed opportunities inside of the CRM system. In order to make sure it's working correctly, I can click on the results feature, and this is going to allow me just to see, again, I'm looking at only the completed activities that are inside of the system. If I go back to the advanced find, I can save this, give it a name if I want to. So we'll just call this completed activities by sales rep. Click on save, and now that view is available for me to share. It's available for me to access in the drop down over here. I can do different things with that information. So I'm going to go over to the views, and we're going to see close activities by sales rep. So just go ahead and click on that, and it's going to refresh the view for me. Bear with me 1 second. Keep mousing over this. Okay, let me just quickly refresh my screen because I think I froze. Yep, I did. So I want to look at my view that I saved. So this is completed activities by sales rep. Now I've got this great information, I've got this great view. If I want to edit the columns or change the columns, I can go back to my advanced find. I can add in additional columns that I think is relevant. But I can also snap in a chart if I want to. So if I just use the charting feature, it's going to very quickly show me, all right, well, here's activities by month. And obviously, we're looking at some sample data, and it's pre-populated, and then obviously it just kind of fell off the face of the earth because no one was using the system. But what I'm interested in is I want to see what my sales reps are using, what are the tools they're using to communicate with their clients, are they picking up the phone and calling as we expect? So I'm going to change this, and I want to look at it activities by type. And it's going to go ahead and it's going to, you can see it quickly changed a pie chart for me that I can now start interacting with. So I've got this great pie chart I can see that half of our activities right now are spent on the phone, which is great. That's what I anticipate. That's what I want my sales team doing. I want them on the phone or out in front of our clients, and then the rest of their time they can be either in email or creating tasks and working on follow-up items. So just like the other report where we had the drill down capability on the pipeline, I also have the drill down capability in the just clicked on. So I want to look at just the phone call activity that we've completed in the last couple of weeks, and now I've got a report that allows me to do that. Once I've gotten that all created, and I want to again, have the ability to export this into Excel, into a pivot table or a dynamic worksheet or a static worksheet where I can just show people here's what the activity of our sales team that we're working on, I can do that very, very simply by just using the export to Excel feature. So again, the concept here is that you don't have to be a report writer. You don't have to understand Crystal reports. You don't have to be a guru user in order to self-serve information to yourself. The concept that I'm really trying to drive home is that if I know where I want to start from inside the CRM system, if I go to that list view and then I click on the advanced find, it allows me to quickly access some additional information and create views that are more important to me as an end user. I think that's pretty important, is that you don't have to be a consultant in order to create these reports. This is all something that you can do on your own. So I'm going to go now back into, let me go back into the dashboards. And what I'd like to do here is spend a few moments just talking about how we can take that report that I just created and add that into a new dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and click on New, and hopefully a lot of you have some familiarity with dashboards. I hope most of you are probably using some of the out-of-the-box features that come with the product. If you haven't had a chance to create your own or use the tools to create your own, highly recommend that you do it. It doesn't take a lot of time. Just think of some information that you typically like to look at or lists that you create and figure out a way to get those into these dashboards. So I'm going to pick the layout that I want, and from my perspective, we're just going to go ahead and add that one view. But I've got these options. I can add a chart, a list, an iframe, so I can actually bring into my dashboard, another list of information or view of data, and I can also bring in, a web resource if I want to. We'll talk about this last piece in a moment. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Charts, and this is going to allow me to start looking at the entity, the record type, and then the types of views, and then allows me to pick the chart that we're looking for. So it's no different than what we just created. So under Activities, that was the view. I had my own personal view, which we called Completed Activities, and then from there, we looked at it by type. So that's exactly what I want to have on a dashboard that I want to look at all the time. So I'm going to click on the activity entity. I'm going to go ahead and click on that view that we created, and then I'm going to go ahead and change it because I want to look at it by type. And I'm going to click on Add, and now I've added my first tile to my own personal dashboard using an advanced find view of information that shows me closed activities by type. And then as more information comes into the system, as the sales team starts making more phone calls and emailing our clients further, that's going to allow this dashboard to be populated with some additional information. So I'm just going to go ahead and just save this as Activities. So I've got a quick name for it. Click on Save. Now, a couple of quick things that we would like to, just kind of denote about dashboards is if anyone is using the new 2016 mobile client, if you click on Properties and click on Enable for Mobile, this particular dashboard will now be available on my iPhone, my iPad, my Surface device, any device that I'm using, the mobile application for. So as you're building out your dashboards and creating your own dashboards, you can click on Properties and enable those for the mobile device so you can access them on that solution. So it's another kind of great tip that not many clients understand that exists. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click on Save and then Close, and then that dashboard will be made available for us to view in a few moments inside of our CRM environment. And in order to change that, you would just click right down here, and then in a few moments you'll see your own personal dashboard show up here, and it would appear right there. So that's how easy it is to literally start building dashboards and creating views. It's very simple to do. Again, I would encourage you, if you haven't already, to spend some time, just with the Advanced Find tool. It's very user-friendly. It allows you to look at information inside the system very easily. Now, one of the things that I will tell you is that with this whole Dynamics 365 offering and the merging of CRM data into the Microsoft ecosystem for Office, is that we're going to start to see more richly developed dashboards through the use of a tool called Power BI. And what Power BI does is it allows us to extend the CRM dashboards to the Power BI solution. And inside the Power BI solution, we can start mending or melding data from other data sources, bringing them all together, and allow that information to be exposed inside of CRM. So a perfect example of that is I want to be able to take my nav details or my AX or GP information from my existing system, and I want to bring that in with CRM data. I want to join the two informations, and I want to look at sales opportunity by existing kind of customer order history. How do I look at that information? How do I bring that all together to analyze it, to start what's going on? How do I now get that data to start telling me stories about our business and what's going on? And that's really the next generation of reporting and dashboards. And we're starting to see that now being pushed into the CRM solution. And what I mean by that is if I go to the administrative console and click on Settings, click on Administration, and then from there I click on System Settings, there's a feature that just started showing up for those of you that are on 2016 release. Under the reporting entity, there's a button that allows you to enable for Power BI. So I've already clicked on yes, and what that's allowed me to do now is it's allowed me to build out more, richly diverse reports, richly diverse pieces of information, and really, kind of cleaner dashboard views of information using the Power BI solution. So in order to access those, I've actually pre-created a few dashboards. There's the activity one that we just created, but I've created a sales kind of Power BI dashboard. I'm going to click on it and let this load in a second, and you're going to see, a kind of different look and feel to the information. We've got an estimated kind of revenue, kind of gauge that we can look at. I can now start looking at my revenue by country. I can look at the sales pipeline information, in kind of a different fashion. I can start looking at our opportunity count by region, and then I can drill into these dashboards to see some additional information. So I'm going to walk us through how I got these into CRM. So the first step that we had to go through was under the administrative settings, under reports, was to enable the Power BI reporting to exist. Now, what I did next is I actually went to my Office 365 login and I clicked on Power BI. If it doesn't appear yet, that's fine. Just go to powerbi.com and sign in using your same Office 365 account. And once I click on it, we're brought to the kind of main Power BI site. And inside here, I just clicked on Get Data. And what you want to do is you want to select from a content pack. So that's really where I started. So I wanted to be able to kind of see information from our demo environment inside of the CRM. So I clicked on Get, and we're listed with kind of all of the options that are available. And you can see there's a lot of information. You can bring in, Google Analytics information. We can bring in information if you're using Click Dimensions for marketing today. You can start bringing that information into the system. So what I did is I clicked on the Service Manager. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Get. And what it's doing is it's going to say, okay, what's the CRM environment that we want to connect to? And then I click on Next. And it runs through the process of kind of validation. Now here's the important part: is what's my authentication method? In the online 365 universe, we're using the OAuth 2. Click on Sign In. It's going to go in. It's going to grab my username and password that I've already got kind of pre-cached in my system. Just click on Sign In, and then now it's going to start kind of bringing that information in. So I'm going to actually cancel out of this because I've already done that. But that's how easy it is for me to go ahead and get these content packs brought into the system. So just by simply doing that, I now have a dashboard that exists inside of Power BI that I can analyze here for the online service. So, yes, I'm outside of CRM and I'm looking at information in here, but I want to bring some of these tiles into my CRM environment. So I'm going to go back to the CRM and I'm going to go ahead and click on New. And what we want to work on now is we want to build a 3x3 or a 3x2 kind of dashboard that allows me to look at some information about my service organization. It allows me to understand what's going on. So I'm going to put Service Power BI Dashboard as the title. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start clicking on the Power BI icon. So as soon as I click that enable, that icon starts appearing. And then here's the different dashboards that I've locked into. So I use the content pack to bring in information for sales service, and I've got some marketing information. But I'm going to go ahead and we're going to focus in on service. So I'm going to click on service, and then here's all the different tiles that exist today. So I want to look at activities by type. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Next, I'm going to go ahead and I want to look at cases by origin. So I'm going to go back to that service manager, and I want to look at cases by origin for the last 30 days. That gives me a good understanding of kind of what our mix is, where the information is coming from. Now I want to start looking at also where are we busy? What are our active cases by location? So that's going to probably give me a pretty good chart that we can start looking at. So yep, it's showing me kind of where our activity is kind of driving from. I can go ahead and click on cases by priority. I want to be able to understand kind of where our service desk is spending their time. How busy are they? What do our last 30 days look like? Where's our priority? Do we have a lot of hot cases that we're interacting with? I also want to look at, what's the total kind of resolved number by day. So how many cases are we typically resolving? What are we looking at? So we're looking at resolved cases last 7 days. Actually, let's do this. Let's do total resolved cases last 30 days. And then finally, I want to look at, just to give me a number, what are we looking at for active cases? So you can see in the matter of moments, I connected to Power BI, I've built out this dashboard with Power BI Business Intelligence, and now I've added it to my CRM environment. And these are using, again, the pre-built content packs that Microsoft has available. In a few moments, we'll have John jump on, and he can talk about how we can build that out even further, and how you can build your own tiles and get your own pieces of information in here. But I'm going to go ahead and just close this now that I've saved it. And in a few moments, we're going to see that dashboard that I just built inside of the CRM environment. And it looks like I've got an issue here. Apologize, give me 1 second. So here's our service Power BI dashboard that we just built. It's going to take a second to load. It's basically running those reports, bringing them back, and resolving them inside of CRM. Now, this is great. This gives me some high-level information. Let me just close this window here. This is giving me a great kind of view of information, but what we're looking at here, I also have the ability to drill into it. So I can start kind of analyzing. As I start mousing over these pieces, it's starting to give me some information. The opportunity close, we're looking at about 30. So that's an activity type that I asked it to track. Tasks, we have about 51 of them. Phone calls, we have about 56 of them. So I can start now drilling into that information. So if I click on it, what's going to end up happening now, it's going to allow me to look at this information in a wider view. So now I'm presented with a report, almost like a book of information inside of the environment. So if I want to start analyzing this information differently, I want to start looking at cases by request. And if I start clicking on that, you're going to see the rest of the page change. So it's very responsive. So it's those cases by request. I can see the 2 that came in, we get one that was at a normal probability and one was at a low probability. So I get an understanding of really how that information kind of plays out. I also have the ability to look at all the other reports that kind of that are part of that service pack that allows me to kind of, again, analyze the information a bit deeper. So I don't have to leave CRM to start analyzing Power BI information. And as I mentioned, it's very responsive. So as I start mousing on information like phone calls, I can start seeing, where we're spending their time. I want to look at tasks. What percentage of tasks are we looking, and how does that affect the activities that were associated to the different priority levels when dealing with tasks? Emails is probably a larger chunk. We're probably emailing a lot of our clients once an issue is resolved. So again, this is just allowing me to analyze my information a bit deeper and allow us to, kind of analyze that information further. And again, this is just the power of being able to take CRM information, melding it with business intelligence, and then bringing those dashboard layers into the environment and allowing your end users the ability to analyze the data deeper. So John, I'm going to kind of hand things over to you. I thought maybe if you don't mind spending a few moments, maybe just kind of talking about what Power BI can do and some of the other, data elements that we can attach CRM information to. And then, obviously that information we could kind of pass back to the CRM environment.
Sounds good. Thanks, Joel. Fantastic overview.
Thanks, Sean.
Show my screen. Which screen do we want to see? There, I think that one will work. Hello. Nice to be with you all today. Joel, you did a marvelous job of showing us CRM and the reporting options. The visualizations that you brought up, I think, are important to comment on because we grew up in a world of tabular format reports, right? Lots of numbers, columns, rows, names, lists, etc. And that requires a lot of human processing in order to be able to understand what you're looking at. The concept of visualization, your visual sense of the 5 senses you have, your visual sense gets 70% of the attention from your brain, which means it has more ability to absorb information than the other 4 senses combined. That's important because with that visual sense you can instantly perceive differences and subtleties that you can't see when you're looking at tabular. I mean, think of your last tabular model and have somebody ask you to pull out all the numbers that have 5 in them. You'd spend forever, but if you did that visually, it'd be very easy to see all the 5s in the table. So Power BI is a standalone product. Joel mentioned that Office 365, if you don't see it there, you just need to sign in, and that's correct. It's powerbi.com is the website. And if you haven't signed up already, there's a sign up for free here. It takes 5 seconds. You give them your email address and they send you back a little notice and you're in. If you have signed in, if you have signed up, you simply sign in. And Joel showed you being in the Power BI world, but I want to step back one step and suggest that we need to understand how Power BI reports might get authored from a pure start from scratch point of view. So the Power BI desktop is also free, and it runs on my desktop as opposed to the service in the cloud. And on that Power BI desktop, I have the ability to get data just like Joel showed you from lots of different sources. And he showed you getting data in a content pack. Here are all sorts of examples of where you can get data. So now you understand that CRM contains a specific set of data for you, and it covers the specific areas of your business. But there's lots of other sources, and Joel referenced those at the beginning of the talk. You may want to pull from your ERP system. You may want to pull from publicly available systems like weather or census data or other market conditions. And you have the ability to do that. You may want to pull from a shop floor collection system and still surface that data inside of your CRM application because it might be important for those who consume from that direction. Once you use Power BI to get data, then you can create all those visualizations that Joel was showing us through the content pack. Let's see, who am I today? I'm this guy, I think. And you have workspaces that you can set up and all kinds of different, here's an IT spend analysis sample that was created by Microsoft. In each one of these tiles is a tile available for you to surface inside CRM, and it may be connected to a different data source. So if you think of it from the bottom, you connect to a data source and you can have an unlimited number of data sources. Those data sources are typically tables with columns and rows in them, and then you can create an unlimited number of reports based upon those data sources or data sets, as they're called in Power BI. Here's an example of a Google Analytics content pack, which has done the hard work for you, or it's not that hard. They've connected to the data source and they've chosen what to present to you, and they've given you a series of tiles on report tabs. That's the nature of a content pack, and we're going to come back to those for a moment because, as Joel suggested, I think there's 30 some at this point. These are companies who've chosen to build a relationship for you between your data that they keep and visualizations that you may want to see. Okay, sorry, my wife keeps calling. You're going to see another missed call from ICE. That was a distraction, wasn't it? At any rate, these content packs are defined by those who publish them. And that's one of the drawbacks in a content pack, if there is such a thing as a drawback in somebody who did all the work for you, is that the data that exists is the data that was chosen to exist. Now, you can create additional dashboards, you can create additional tile objects based upon the data that was provided, but you can't grab additional data. Also, inside of your organization, you can create internal content packs and publish them with each other. I was looking over a Microsoft individual's shoulder the other day. They have several hundred content packs depending on what they have the right to, and they have the ability to share marketing information, product build information among the teams using internal content packs. But again, those were defined by the provider of the content pack. So let's go the last 5-10 yards here and talk about something called a Power BI solution template, which we might call or might refer to as content packs for grown-ups. Joel has mentioned a few times bringing in data from elsewhere. If you go to Solutions and Solution Templates, Microsoft has started with CRM and with Salesforce and built what's called a Power BI solution template. What this does is it uses a replication service. In the case of CRM Online, it is Scribe. It uses a replication service to draw down the data and put it into a SQL data warehouse. And along the way, they clean it, they stage it, they do all the things you should do in a proper business intelligence tool. When they do such, they also provide you all of the dashboard reporting that you might need. And I'm going to take a moment and we'll view that report. So They pull the data out, they put it in a staging warehouse, they build a model, they build reports, and they build dashboards. If we maximize this dashboard, you can see sample of what comes out of this adult content pack, or a content pack for grown-ups, I suppose, has less political implications. And there are several tabs that can be viewed to look at the data of your sales performance. So they've created a looking back. These are opportunities lost, revenue won, by date. You can look at it by week or by day of the week. And then looking ahead as to what we have in the pipeline. And this, once you've connected, of course, would be all your data. We can take a look at sales performance, interactivity that Joel described. So we're now looking at Justina's team or Mohammed's team. This is kind of fun. These are actually 3 engineers on the Power BI solution template team. So they're real names, real people. And all the interactivity that you would expect to occur inside of Power BI. And again, any of these tiles are available to be published inside your CRM, Microsoft CRM application. So we're now looking at just those with a 60% or better close for the printer team, and we're trying to discover whether we're going to meet our quota, let's say, in the first quarter of 2016. And it looks like for printers, we are going to come close by the end of March. So, Power BI grown-up solution templates. How easy is it to incorporate one of these into your system? Install now is all we have to do. It takes about 2 minutes when you have all of the right connectivity information illustrated by Joel earlier in connecting CRM to Power BI. Now we want to connect Power BI to CRM from this direction. We simply decide what, where we're going to pull it from, where we're going to put the data when we're finished, a live connection to analysis services, or import data into Power BI, which is the typical. And then we click Next, give it our information as to how to connect to Scribe, which is the service for CRM, Microsoft CRM that does the replication. And by the way, the Power BI solution template is free, if I haven't mentioned that. It is free, except you need a Scribe account to make it work, and that's something around $90 a month. I think your first 3 months are free. Then you connect the source, where is my CRM solution, and the target, where am I going to put the data when I'm done, and your 2 minutes is over, and the account has been created and all your data is connected. Now this is open architecture. It's not only free, but it's open architecture solution template. So if you engage with folks who understand BI and ETL work, they can also bring in fact, there's tables waiting to receive data from your ERP system. There are the possibility of adding any additional views or tables necessary to bring in any other data that you would like. And finally, you have access to the model, either the analysis services model or a model built in Power BI that that allows you to replicate that same data into your Power BI dashboard. I'm going to pause now and open it up for the next thing, which I assume is questions. Michael?
Thanks, John, and thanks, Joel, as well. We do not have any questions in the queue, but if anybody has any questions for us now, please enter those.
Then when you update, you get whatever is going to be of this day and example that you may use.
Michael, I'll throw it out there too that if anyone has issues or questions or wants to try to get through some of these, either advanced finds or wants to understand a little bit more about about Power BI, they can certainly, I know you're going to be sending a follow-up email with our contact information. They can let me know, and I can kind of coordinate with John, and I would be more than happy to help.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Joel. Okay. So thanks everyone for joining. We will be sending out a follow-up email with a copy of this recording of this webinar. If any questions arise, as Joel said, please feel free to reach out to us with any questions. We'll be happy to help. If you forward them to me in the email that I'll send, I'll forward those to the appropriate person. Thanks again, everyone, and have a great day.
All right, so
Thanks, everybody.